It's the Dead Panda podcast, and we talk about stuff such as stand-up comedy, improv comedy, and we ask people to share the feelings.
Well, he's not in the same room. Oh shit! Oh god, he doesn't know that we're recording, so I'm just gonna welcome everybody to the Dead Panda podcast. That was Luke. My name's Michael, and today's guest is the beautiful Harry Potter villain.
Hey, yeah, you know.
Sorry, I was just
First,
gonna try to say your name, and then I laughed because I had this whole bit planned out right away.
hey, man, you still do it. You still do it. Go ahead.
I'm gonna mess it up now. It's Cordelin. Damn it.
Or delicious.
Hey, man.
But on your Skype.
It says like Corde Snell or something.
Oh man, I got so many damn names, which is hilarious. So Corde is what I go by. It's actually a nickname. My actual name is Cardelis, but growing up, name is Cardelis. I go by Corde, mainly because growing up, or people always got my name wrong. They always said Cordelis, and it was Cardelis. Especially English teachers, which frustrated me a lot. My homie gave me the name when I was like 18, because when I used to play football, you go by last name. Most people know you by like, my last name is Snell, most people call you that. My homie was like, nah, bro, you need something better to like talk to the chicks, because you know Snell's not right, but it's not cool, right? So
sounds like snail, like, so like that's not attractive.
Yeah, right. He was like, so his first name, I was like, it's Cardelis. He was like, nah, man, that's too much. That's too much. He's like, you should go by like something short. He was like Corde or Corde. He's like Corde, and I was like, I like that. So I've been going with that since I was like 17. So you know, that's basically.
Yeah, Cardelis. It sounds like an old Englishman's name. Like
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sir Cardelis.
Yeah. So Cardelis is approaching, or so yeah.
I don't want to sound like that guy, but it sounds like a name that Quentin Tarantino would give to Ving Rhames.
My name's Cardelis.
Probably, yeah.
Does Cardelis Wallace look like a bitch? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, did Ving Rhames? Did he die, or is he? Or am I thinking?
Yeah, Ving Rhames is still around.
Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking of someone else who died. Anyway.
You ain't seen the latest Mission Impossible movies? He's still in there.
Okay. Yeah, I think I did see the latest one, but
yeah,
okay.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Now, if let's see, if Ving Rhames were to go to Hogwarts as a Harry Potter student, which house do you think he would be belonging to?
That's a good one. Not Slytherin.
No, I don't see him as a Slytherin either.
I was thinking Hufflepuff mainly because he's just like big, you know. So like Hufflepuff probably just like Hufflepuff. Yeah, you got a problem with that? No, man, no, not at all.
Yeah, he'd be the guy defending all the other Hufflepuffs. Yeah, that's exactly. Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, so Corde, we usually. How did you start doing comedy? How'd you get your start? Tell us about like your first set. What got you into it? Give us the genesis.
So I went to a community college, and I had to sign up for one of two classes to meet my requirement for my sociology degree. It was either Raza Studies or this drama acting course, right? So I ended up taking the drama acting course. Because I went the day of when the counselor told us, and then while I was there, I used to just like crack jokes. I used to make fun of people. I remember one day specifically, I was like making fun of every single person as they came in the room, and my teacher was like, "Oh my God, you're so funny! You should do comedy." And I'm like, I'm not that funny. I could just like make fun of people or just like tell funny stories. She's like, "Well, that's comedy," and I'm like, white woman, if you don't leave me alone, like I'm like, nah, you know. And then so she was saying, I want you to do comedy. I'm like, no. And then she's like, well, I'm gonna put on a comedy show. I want you to be on it. And I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm not trying to do that. And she was like, you won't pass my class unless you do it. I was like, damn, what does this white woman want from me, right? So then literally, I told her, I was like, yo, I don't need to write nothing down. I can get up there, I can just do it, because I'm funny like that. I can just do it. She's like, no, you can't. That's what everybody thinks. They can get up there and just do it. And she's like, but just act out stuff now. Just write some stuff, funny stuff down. I'm like, and I really didn't want to do it, so I wasn't writing nothing down. I really couldn't think of anything funny that I thought to write down, unless copying like comic view like jokes. I'm like, not about that. So then she told me, she was like, you know what? I don't know what's wrong with you. How about this? You act out what you think is funny or what you want to say, and I'll write it down, and we'll make it into like some funny formula that you're going to do. So that's what we did. I wrote up some material. I was watching like a Buffett comedy like specials and stuff. And my first ever set, I remember I walked up on stage and I was just like, y'all, I like to go to the gym. And I've been like big for like a while. I like to play football. So, and then everybody was like, what? And they started laughing. So then like the whole crowd started laughing at what somebody else said in the crowd and not me. So I already got heckled my first time on stage. And I was I like to, so all these like thoughts are running to my mind. I'm like, yo, should I leave? I looked at it, I was like, then I said, no, just stay. And I'm like, should I cuss this person out? Like, what should I do? And then I was like, I'm just gonna keep trying to do my joke. I'm gonna just keep trying. And I was like, I love to go to the gym, and the people laugh. I love to go to the gym. I like to go to the gym. And then somebody was like, somebody quieted the crowd down. I was like, shh. And I was like, I like to go to the gym. They was like, okay. I was like, for the woman. I was like, oh, okay. All right. I get that. Yeah. And then so I went and did my set. It was only like 3.5 minutes long, but I got like a really good, I got kind of like a standing ovation kind of, or like hella people there who I knew, like they was like, woo! And then a bunch of comedians who was trying it out for the first time, two of our friends who was trying it out, they was like, yo, dude, you was hella funny. That was hella good, man. I'm hella proud. That was like dope. And then after that, I was like, really? Really? And then after that, I kind of started thinking, okay, well, maybe let me try to start doing this,
Right.
Yeah.
From the use of the hella, I assume you're from California and grew up there.
NorCal is that.
Okay.
And would you say that, do you have more of a structure in your joke writing now, or do you say that you still kind of are more of a riffer? You kind of just go up with an idea and then just let it take you wherever you want to go?
Oh, that's a great question. I definitely go up there with like a written idea, and I write stuff out of how I want the joke to go and how I want the joke to be done. But I do improvise sometimes and riff in the moment. Because I think stuff comes to you in a moment. I think the fact that I took the acting class is also kind of improv a lot too. I kind of adapted that, and then usually if a joke goes well, I kind of just stick with that. And then if a joke doesn't go well, I'll go back and see how I written it, and I'll be like, okay, well that's why it didn't go well, because I didn't even stick to the structure of it. I'm over here like going in this whole different route when the structure I had came up with was a lot better. And then even sometimes if it goes well, I'll try to go back and see if the way I read it was better. And sometimes if it kind of kills, then I kind of like, okay, no, it's not. But then I might constantly rewrite it over time and then kind of add the part that I originally wrote from the joke in with it to make it even like that much more solid.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I think that it's a really good idea to not let it limit you, but to have it to fall back on.
Yeah. Especially because a lot of the time too, like I rewrite jokes sometimes because you know how you be thinking about jokes and like sometimes the same mindset keeps happening over and over again, and I'm like, why I keep thinking of this joke like this? And it's like, oh, because I didn't perform it like how I wrote it and like the structure of it, so it keeps coming back up my head over and over again. So,
yeah, I love looking at. Sometimes I run across jokes I wrote a long time ago or an old set. I'm like, oh, that joke's not that bad. But then, yeah, I'm a lot better writer now, so I can tweak the joke. And that's always very gratifying when you can like amp something up.
Absolutely.
Way better than what it was before.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right. So my next question for you, though, is if you were a Disney princess, which one do you think you'd be and why?
Princess Jasmine comes to mind immediately. One, she's rich. Two, she has a palace. 3, I get to fly on magic carpets. 4, I got a pet tiger. Mrs. Jasmine seems like she got a lot going on for herself, you know. Falls in love with a street rat though, which is like hilarious. And got to be set up for marriage, all that kind of stuff. But Princess Jasmine seems like, you know, the best out of all of them, you know, in a sense.
Yeah.
She's
Luke
strong,
wants to be
independent.
he wants to be Woody from Toy Story. I'm like, that's not a princess every time I tell him that.
Yeah. Not a princess at all. Why a princess, not a prince? Well, there is hell a princess now. I think about it. Yeah. The only one I could think was second. Well, it was 2. It was Belle from Beauty and the Beast, but she's poor, just grew up in a village. Or it would be the Little Mermaid. But I'm like, you can't breathe above water, so yeah, Atlantis is cool and everything, but you know, have you been to Vegas? You know.
Well, I think in Little Mermaid too, like she goes to England with the prince or whatever, and then she like realizes he's a dick and breaks up with him.
That's Pocahontas, man.
That's Pocahontas?
That's
Oh shit.
Pocahontas.
That's
Close,
Pokemon.
fucking close enough. Kinda.
Because Little Mermaid 2, she has a whole daughter, and then they're like living on land,
Okay.
and the daughter's like, no, why I want to be part of the water. I just feel like I should be part of the ocean and stuff. And she goes and steals her grandpa's trident and gives it to Ursula's skinny sister, which is hilarious. Like Ursula got a skinny sister, which is funny as hell. So yeah.
Okay, so it seems like you're a pretty big Disney file, or
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
So, you know, grew up on Disney. You know, Disney Channel was it back in the day. You know, and like it was the funniest when those memes used to come out when they were like, when because a Disney Channel movie was starting, and it was like when this dude jumped up and hit the splits, that's when you knew a fire movie was about to come on. So yeah, I watched nothing but Disney growing up. Disney, Nickelodeon, and Cartoon Network.
yeah, it was more Nickelodeon than anything, I think.
Yeah.
I was poor. We would watch WGN baseball and the lottery is what we would get.
Ooh, okay. All right.
Like
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have cable. I had to go over to my friend's house to watch anything. We got NBC and CBS. That was it.
Yeah.
So I was watching like Ninja Turtles on Saturday mornings.
Fire! Fire! Ninja Turtles on Superstation back in the day. Whew. Ooh. Yeah.
I used to get the Wayans brothers and Conan O'Brien at night, so
Okay. All right.
I liked that a lot.
Yeah.
Look, I appreciate you guys' childhood shows, but I don't fully understand them. So,
I mean, the Wayans brothers, I grew up on that. That was a fire show too. You know, Pops, both of the Wayans in there. Yeah, that was a fire show. Yeah.
and
I never watched Conan O'Brien though. So
yeah, well, I remember when they made Scary Movie after that. I went and told my brother, I was like, dude, the Wayans brothers are in a movie, and we were
yeah,
stoked.
exactly, right.
Do you like Conan's? He's been doing a lot of travel specials the last several years. Have you checked those out?
I actually haven't, even though I would love to perform on the show Conan. I haven't watched a lot of his travel specials. I remember I did watch the ride along with Conan O'Brien, Ice Cube, and Kevin Hart. I watched that and I thought that was hilarious. And I remember they had got us like an Uber or whatever, and they was like, "Hey, we can't play any music because if we do, we'll get fined or we'll get sued and stuff like that. So just don't turn on anything on the radio, thank you." And I was like, "Oh shit, I forget that you can't just randomly play any kind of music in a video." I'm like, damn, that sucks. So
No. Well, I think the Conan on the Road or whatever he calls it, like you can find those on Netflix
yeah.
now. But yeah, he's gone to like Ireland and South Korea and a ton of places. They're hilarious.
Reflecting how much more money he has than us, and then make it into a TV show. You know, I'm going on vacation, and then I'm going to record it all, and I'm going to pitch it to a show. You know, pitch it to like Netflix. So. Yeah.
Yeah, fuck Conan. He's like, yeah, this is for the show, and then he's like, just goes.
Yeah.
Now, like he's done some stand-up as well, hasn't he? Is that how he started, or?
He started off as a stand-up comedian, yeah.
And then he was like a writer for SNL, and then he got his.
Luke,
like,
let's get off of Conan's dick for a minute. We're interviewing someone here.
No. So, where are your favorite places to perform, Corde?
I mean, besides Reno, are we just talking about like cities, or are we like venues or anything?
Yeah, well, because I saw, well, it probably wasn't mentioned, but Corde headlines our Dead Panda show at Reno Improv in January, and it's a great show. Loved it. And then I saw you also did Blacktop Comedy with Stay Silly in January, but I'd heard Blacktop was shutting down, so I don't know how you feel about that.
Damn, I did not know it was shutting down, especially during this Corona pandemic.
Yeah.
Like a lot of places are shutting down. That was I think that was my second time doing Blacktop. The first time I just like did like a quick 5-10 minute guest spot or something. No, I did like a 10-minute spot, and the next time I was invited back, I headlined, which is always dope. One of my favorite spots in Sacramento specifically is Sacramento Punchline, because it was one of the first like few venues that I was able to perform at, like out of the Sac Punchline, SF Punchline, and Cobb's Comedy Club. So like that would always have like a special place in my heart, because it was the first like big club that I performed at. And I remember I was performing at that spot back in like 2013, 2014. I think I did like 4 or 5 shows. Like I remember loved it, loved the venue and everything. And I remember people was like, yo man, if you got any local shows, 'cause I'm not trying to drive to Sac, I would definitely come to you. I'm like, yo, but Sac is dope, and it's like the one opportunity that I'm getting to do like a solid 10 minutes at this like club, because SF Punchline is you have to go through a lot to perform there, or just get up on that stage on the Sunday night. But then also I didn't know anybody who was putting on shows at SF Punchline at the time. But then other than that, Santa Barbara is where I went to school. I went to Santa Barbara. Love going down there to perform, because there was a comedy org that was down there that we produced. It was called Laughology. So I love performing there. Santa Barbara, just love the place all the time, because it's just SoCal and it's great weather, and I just loved it down there. So those are probably some of my favorite spots and there's dope spots in the Bay Area too. Like I remember Comedy Oakland is a dope spot, and then Cobb's is pretty dope too as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what are your goals for comedy? Like where would you want to be, or do you have any goals?
Oh man, to make a living off of comedy, to be on the road, every weekend. Also like have like a successful comedic podcast. Like I would love to do like I do like I've done a few podcasts over the years. Right now I have like a sports podcast that I do. It's called Ego and a Pirate. It's on Spotify and everywhere. We talk sports, but then we also like trying to start like another one where we just talk goofy and silly stuff and like pop culture. But yeah, like podcast is dope. Being on the road would be amazing. Making a living.
Just talking about Conan O'Brien, right?
Yeah, talking about Conan O'Brien. Yeah, you hear me? You hear me right now, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So be on the road. Having a dope podcast that that's on YouTube and everywhere that you can hear. Acting and being on like movies and things like that, like the whole Kevin Hart route. But then also putting out like a bunch of different dope specials. Like I always think about that, because like how even people who have like these specials on Netflix, like before that you have to usually put out like a CD, like special whatever that's like non-video, it's just audio. And actually I was actually trying to do one of those sometime this year. Initially it was February, but I started thinking about it, the timeline might have been pushed more towards the summer. And then because of this pandemic, I never got the opportunity to do it. But that was something probably just be pushed back towards next year. And it's just a way like for me to put out like a special, me doing like a bunch of different comedy stuff, and then also challenging myself to work on newer material that I can polish off, But yeah, man, everything that could become a comedy, podcast, acting, TV shows, movies, specials. Like everybody wants that Netflix special or that HBO special, Showtime, Comedy Central. You just want to see your face everywhere, right?
Definitely.
Also, I got something coming out on Amazon Prime. It was supposed to drop this month. It was supposed to drop in April, but because of the pandemic, I'm not sure exactly when it's going to drop.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna mention. Is the process fairly simple for getting your videos on there?
So I did it with this group called We Own the Laughs. It's basically a guy who's trying to make you remember like the Deaf Comedy Jams, like
Okay.
episodes back in the day, like another form of that. So I was on one of the episodes on that. So that's
How
definitely
long? Like 10, 15 minutes?
like
Or
seven. It's seven.
okay.
Yeah. So it's not too long, but it's like some material. And then even then, like I remember I rewatched it, and I'm like, damn, man, I've gotten funnier since that. My jokes are more critiqued about it. And I'm like, this is a good set, but it's funny. Like you look at yourself we look at yourself like several months ago, and you're just like, oh man, like my jokes are tighter than that. Like I've been able to critique it more. You're always like that perfectionist, Like
Yeah.
I always get musicians who like hate doing old songs because it's like, I performed this like how many times throughout the years, it's like I've been working on this new stuff that I want to use and I want to like put out, like listen to this new thing. It's like, no, we want to hear the classics. And then like, yo,
Everybody's like, keep
yeah.
playing Freebird. Yeah, more
exactly.
Well, and at
Exactly.
a certain point, like, do you ever tell old jokes and you're like, I don't even think this is funny anymore? I mean, people still laugh, but I've had like some jokes that like, or this joke in particular that was my closer, and then like for some reason when I did it more recently, it like doesn't work at all. But then I
Yeah.
went back and watched it and like, oh, I really like sold the joke before. I really
Yeah.
believed
Yeah.
in it, and I'm telling it way differently now because I don't
Yeah.
give a fuck about it.
I definitely know what you're talking about. I remember I had like memorized like a whole 7 to 10 minute set. I knew front and back. I knew when it was gonna hit. I knew every time punchline, all that kind of stuff. And I always thought the jokes were funny, but I felt like I was becoming stagnant. I never wanted to be one of those comedians who do the same jokes over and over and over. And then I was told by someone that was like, "Hey man, I've seen you perform, but you kind of do the same jokes," which I hate because people act like you can just come up with like a whole new set like next week,
People think everything's improvised. We're just
Yeah.
coming up with this on.
Yeah, but I'm like, yo, you know how long I've worked and like critiqued this 10-minute set? It took me like about a year or two, or like I've like, or really started hitting like after doing that same lineup for like 6 months straight on shows, and then he finally got it right. But so yeah, so I remember when I was in Santa Barbara, because I was already like several years in, and the people there who was just starting the comedians, I was like, I'm gonna challenge myself to start writing more and start coming up with like new material like every time I go up, and I could probably go up 2 times within a quarter. So I'm like, and a quarter is like 10 weeks. So I'm like, I could come up with 10 minutes in, between 5 weeks. That's like a bunch of different jokes coming up with, and it was never as solid as the 10 minutes that I had, but I liked it and I thought it was pretty good for the amount of time I had to come up with it. So
Yeah, I'm sort of the same way where I always want to do new stuff, but then I rarely go back and refine what I've actually written. So that's kind of the problem. I really need to do things a few times to get it exactly right.
That's definitely a problem. The thing I hate the most during that time where I was creating all this new material, I had recorded on this phone of mine. Like it was 2 phones ago, and I remember, how now you can like upgrade a phone. All you have to do is just like purchase a new phone and then trade your old one in, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had traded that old one in.
Oh shit!
It had like material from like 2014 to like fall of 2017. So all those jokes are gone, and now I felt that was me at like my most writing time, and I'm like, damn, like there was so much stuff during that time, like so many jokes I was writing, and then I try to remember them, and then I remember the hits, I remember like the good ones that I remember more, and I forget some of those too, but you don't remember the ones who like probably still needed like that fine tuning, and there was something there that you just needed to keep working on, So.
Yeah, I just got done going through like hundreds of audio files that I had on my phone and voice recorder, and some of them had been sitting there since like 2015, and most of it was shit, but then like 10% of it, it's like, okay, it's good, or I can work with it. So,
Yeah.
I have a lot of new stuff I can't wait to try out. have you done any Zoom shows yet?
Yeah.
or-
I've
How's that
done
going?
I think I've done like two. I've done like 2 to 3, and then other ones are like open mics, which they're cool, but like you said, like how like my connection cut out, which is what I hate. And then they're different and they're weird because it's like this kind of like an interview, but you're kind of waiting to hear
Yeah.
people or like the laughs or delayed. And then you might be checking in with somebody like, yo, is people laughing? Like, or is it my time yet? Like, or, and I remember one person was like, no, dude, people are laughing in the chat. But the way how different people set up Zoom, because I remember the last show I did like 20 minutes, and he was like, it was broadcast over several different areas of like Facebook Live, Instagram Live, YouTube Live. And then so the people were like laughing in the comments, but I couldn't see it in the chat.
Right.
So like that's cool and it's different. And it's refreshing to get up and perform it again. And then also, like I riff a lot sometimes, I notice, and like especially in the moment, but also I think about stuff throughout the week. So it's a way to continue to keep on riffing, but then also to keep writing jokes. Like I read, I remember I was talking to a few friends with comedy about a few homies who do comedy about comedy a few days ago, and I was watching a Netflix special. And I ended up writing 7 jokes while writing it. So that was like solid. And I'm like, yo, if I could keep doing that, that's always dope. Because sometimes I watch comedy, like I'll be like in the middle of like a live performance, and then that helps me get in like the comedy state of like writing comedy, writing jokes and things like that. And then I gotta shout her out. Her name is Taylor Tomlinson. I met her back in 2014. It was me, her, like Eric Myers and a few other people, and to see her go from just doing, I think she did a 10-minute spot like in UC Santa Barbara to now have a full feature length on Netflix. It's like pretty damn dope, you know?
Yeah.
So the show is like grind pays off, and it just gotta keep working, you know?
Yeah, she really shot up there. I don't know, did you perform with her, Michael?
I haven't performed with her.
Okay, yeah, I did. I performed with her at Reno Tahoe Comedy. She's like really nice person.
Yeah, super dope.
But yeah, like since then she's had like the 15-minute spot on Netflix and then the full-length one, and then has been on like Conan O'Brien's show and shit like that. So.
Luke, if you bring up Conan O'Brien one more fucking time, man, I'm pulling the plug on this show.
The name of this episode is Conan O'Brien one more fucking time.
Corde, you want to host this podcast with me? I think I'm looking for a new comedy partner.
Hey man, I'm down, man. I'm always down, man. I'm more podcasts the better, especially during.
Yeah, what's you can plug your podcast. What are the names of them?
So it's just one now. It's two. It's named one is Eagle and the Pirate. It's a sport podcast. We usually drop one we usually record every Tuesday. So usually drops either Tuesday night or Wednesday or early Wednesday morning. And then we have another one that's called Ed and Co, which is me and my homie Edgar Vega. And we just like, so his first name's Edgar, my name's Corde. So we just like combined it, Ed and Co. And we just kind of riff and talk about stuff. Like I remember one time we was just talking about snacks. We barely talk about snacks. Another time on our sports podcast, we got into some of the worst coaches we ever played for. And we're both like former football players. So it's like very interesting. And then we did like a mock draft recently about the NFL draft. And a few episodes we got coming up is we're going to look over the Michael Jordan documentary.
It was The Last Dance or
Last Dance.
When is that going to be released on Netflix? I'd heard like in other countries it's available on Netflix, but here it's only ESPN or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know because it says produced by ESPN and Netflix. So I'm thinking specifically probably because ESPN is our ESPN, like ESPN 1, ESPN 2 is not prominent over there because I think they just have like ESPN Deportes and stuff. That's why it's probably on Netflix over there. So I think it's like a dual partnership, you know, between the two. So it's probably, I'm guessing probably by the summer it should be on Netflix, but then also they're probably going to sell the DVD box set by Christmas.
Okay.
The documentary is so dope. Like,
yeah, I'm excited to watch it because I grew up in Illinois and I was a diehard Bulls fan.
Definitely. Bulls all day, yeah. So,
Well, I want to know more about you and not Michael Jordan because
Yeah, I want to know more about Conan O'Brien, quite
I
honestly.
appreciate
Like,
it. Yeah,
how does he get his
Conan.
hair to stay
I hope this helps me
equivalent?
get on the Conan O'Brien show, and then I get to like do like a 5 minute spot on there because that's like definitely like
all right, well then here's like something for all of our viewers and listeners. Tag this video and share it to Conan O'Brien, to his
yeah,
Twitter, and to everything. And
Hmm.
get all three of us. I
exactly.
mean, because if he's
Yeah,
just gonna take Corday, I mean,
yeah.
I'm gonna say we're all doing a little bit of work here, so let's
I
get us all
I
on there.
think Michael, you kind of burnt your bridges with Conan O'Brien. You've been
You know what?
talking shit about him.
That's
Yeah.
okay. I don't want his spindly legs that like bend around my body, anyways. I know what he's about. He's just a human ginger spider, and I don't want it to touch me.
Hey man, but he has the podcast too, so he can probably help you guys podcast. So that's the new thing I heard about him. He has the show and also doing a podcast, which is like a hit. So yeah.
Yeah,
So
and he has
more
like a
about me though.
gaming
You said
channel,
right?
like Clueless
Yeah,
Gamer.
but we want to know about Corde Snell.
Okay.
Okay, so like we talked about shit. What were some of your influences growing up that made you like? When did you first like feel funny, kind of thing? Like who? Yeah, like when was the first time you made somebody laugh, or you were like, this is something that makes me feel good?
Honestly, man, I never thought I was super funny like that. To be honest, like I feel like the most funniest person in my family is my cousin. His name is Joe Albert. He's also the ring. So I have a sister and a bunch of cousins, and we all used to grow up. It was six of us in my grandma's house, just running havoc, and he was the ringleader of all of us, and he'll just be doing stupid, dumb stuff all the time. And honestly, I really didn't feel funny like that until probably eighth grade when I learned about capping and roasting, where me and my homies would just sit there and cap with each other. And I first, like the first few days, because it was like the first time at this new school, but I had like old friends there, and like I'm learning about capping, and we just be capping on each other. And we talk about like just roast something about somebody. If their hairline wasn't right, we roast that. If you come with some clothes that ain't in style, you get roasted. Like I remember back then, FUBU, South Pole, and like Jordan stuff was like too expensive, so nobody really wore that. But we was roast stuff. I remember like Tommy Hilfiger was kind of fading. So yeah, but I remember somebody tried to roast me on my South Pole clothes, and then somebody was like, "Hey yo, man, South Pole in? All the hell you talking about?" And then everyone was like, "Oh my bad." everybody, everybody in the group was wearing South Pole except him. So I was like, "How you gonna say why you rocking South Pole?" Everybody like, "We all got on South Pole. What the hell you talking about, man?" Like, so that's like when I really started feeling funny. And then also when I got to high school, we just kept doing it. Like I just saw a post that my homie that shared the other day. It was like from 2013, and it said, "Remember the days when we used to be sitting in front of the gymnasium at lunchtime? We would just roast each other." Like my freshman and sophomore year, eighth grade, freshman and sophomore year, me and my friends used to get together and just roast each other ridiculously hard for no reason. Like that was how we bonded. We just talked about your shoes. We talked about your white tee if it got dirty. We talked about if you scuffed your shoes. If you smelled like any possible thing. We talked about people's sisters, like all that kind of stuff. Girlfriends, like yo, that girl just rejected you, all that kind of stuff. So that's when I really felt funny, when I was just roasting people all day and night, because that's really improvising, because you gotta look and come up with something to meet like that. And if you
Yeah.
too slow, somebody like, what, you got a stuttering problem? You can't read? I remember you call on you and you couldn't read. You like the you sound just like in class, and then it would go from there.
Yeah, it helps you like pay attention to think of those things because you're like really
Yeah,
focusing in on stuff. So
yeah,
you're like really listening, and you're like, yeah, I was kind of the same way, but like there was this big tough guy at school, and I was like small and skinny, and his name was Milo, and it was a cold morning, and they wouldn't let us in, so we are all standing, and I was like, Milo, quit blocking the door. He was like blocking all the heat, and he looked like a caveman, and I was like, this is your people. Like I made him cry just by like making caveman jokes at him for a while. And he went and stood by himself, and then I was like, I better not do this for a while. But everybody else had a good time with it, and
yeah,
I just felt like an asshole.
yeah.
Have you ever met somebody who's unroastable? Either they are super cool or they are just like completely normal to the point where there's nothing interesting about them.
Um, a few people, but it was more like they were unroastable because they wouldn't roast back.
Mm.
Oh,
So
okay, they just weren't fun about it.
it wasn't fun about it, so it felt more like I was picking on them or we was picking on them, and it'd be kind of funny for a minute. But then if you just really, it's like if you don't say nothing back, we'll kind of drop it. That's how it was with our friends because we was never like bullies and stuff like that. We would roast each other and then we come back at each other. That's how we was. But then when people like get roasted, they wouldn't say nothing back. It was cool for like about 5 minutes, and after a while, I was like, "Hey man, let's lay off him. He ain't about that. He ain't." And it was mainly usually somebody who we weren't really friends with if we try to roast, and they might get upset. I remember like some of my cousin, because my cousin is like 2 years older than me, but he's like only a grade before me because his birthday is in December. If your birthday's in December, you have to wait until the next year, some random crazy schedule like that. So one of his homies tried to come roast one of my friends, and it wasn't even funny. One of the people who be roasting you, but be laughing at the same time at his own jokes. And you're like, bro, you're not funny if you laughing at your own jokes. He's like, nah, bro, man, I'm killing this fool. Y'all see him? And it's like, bro, that's not funny at all. That's not. He was like, who wear Dickies? So it was like, Snoop Dogg wear Dickies. He said, this ain't L.A. We was like, so? And then he tried to like roast us, and we just like, hey, bro, this ain't even funny. So, yeah.
Yeah, I see a lot of those at open mics a lot of times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Luke, why don't you bring us into our ad break?
Okay, we are going to take an ad break from our sponsor, our podcast company, Anchor. You probably know about them, Corde.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And our YouTube sponsor, which is Whatever I Think Of.
Yeah. TBD, to be determined. Okay. Quick break.
It's that time of the year again, Mother's Day. And this year you can give your mother the ultimate gift. One night with either Michael Graham or Luke Westberg of Dead Panda Comedy.
Who's talking?
And I'll tell you this, these two entrepreneurial young men are so ambitious, so delicious that they will allow themselves to do anything that you want to your mom.
No, we're not.
I'm talking all sorts of dirty pegging. Look at that Luke Westberg, you know he wants it. And Michael Graham, he'll eat your butt. He'll go all the way downtown. He'll put his tongue inside the rim.
Yeah, I guess, okay. I want no part in this,
Get
okay?
this now before this deal is gone for good. You guys know what you signed up for.
I didn't agree to this.
Yes, you did.
You're a monster!
I am a monster.
God, how... I didn't know what I was signing.
Here's the thing. I don't care, though. I want all these mothers to be happy this year. Have your night tonight.
This isn't... We thought we were gonna be reading, like, for tuxedo rentals, but...
We are now. We're totally back.
Okay, we're back. Anyway.
So I hope you don't mind like redoing a lot of the story we were just talking about because it was really interesting, and I was waiting for Luke to sit down, but
Okay, I'm here.
All right.
But what we were talking about during our break was like you recently started headlining, and specifically how you got your first headlining gig. Why don't you tell us that, and then your process for how you set yourself up for a spot like that, because it does take time and it like.
Oh, okay. So the first time I ever headlined, I'm thankful to this dude named Kabir Singh. He gave me an opportunity to headline because I was down in Santa Barbara. Most of the things I talk about is me being at UC Santa Barbara because I was there for so long, and it's fairly recent. He was like putting out fillers like, yo, if you can help me bring people to Tommy T's Comedy Club, which is in Dublin, Pleasanton, in California, I'll give you a spot. And he gave me 10 minutes on that show. And I went up there and I was working like a bunch of new material, and it was my new 10-minute set that I've been doing for like a minute now, but refined it to like a 15, 20-minute set now. And I got up there and I did it, and my friends hadn't seen me in about 2-3 years. My mom and dad hadn't seen me in about 2 to 3 years. And I got up there and I did it, and I killed. Like I really had a killer set. So much so that I was invited back to host that whole weekend at the comedy club. Well, I was supposed to feature our guests on the comedy club for the rest of the weekend, but then I ended up hosting for a Saturday.
Oh shit! He cut out again.
God fucking damn. Okay. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah, you could
No.
say.
Did I cut out?
Okay, you're back.
You're back.
You're back.
Yeah.
Okay. What part did
If
I
you
cut out?
see me going like this,
Yeah, when you that's usually the clue. Yeah.
yeah,
So when did I cut out at?
fuck if I know. All right, you talked about Kabir Kabizi Singh. You started hosting for the weekends.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So that's basically it. So I basically started hosting that weekend. It was the first time I ever like hosting a weekend at the Tommy T's, and it was the first time I got paid by like a comedy club. So that was dope. And then I remember I did another show for Kabir in July. So the first show was in April. The second one was in July. I remember it was June. It was June 30th because July 1st I started summer school at UC Santa Barbara. And he was like, "Hey man, you really funny. I like you a lot. Hey, you ever think about headlining?" And I was like, "No, I can't headline." You ain't got 30 minutes, 20, 30 minutes. I was like, "Oh wait, no, I got that." He was like, "Yeah, you could headline, like do like a small thing where you could like do 30 minutes, or you can like we could co-headline. You do 25, somebody else did 25." And so the first time I ever did that, I remember I was like for like 2 weeks, I was trying to get up anywhere and everywhere. I didn't care how much time I did. I remember one time I had feet. So hosting that weekend, then I did another show for Kabir in June at Cobbs. He just said like, "Yo, you super funny dude. Could you headline?" And I'm like, "No, I can't headline." He was like, "You can't do 20, 30 minutes." I was like, "Oh, I could do that." I thought he was asking me to do like an hour. He was like, "No, just do 20, 30 minutes." He's like, "Or better yet," what he ended up doing, he had me co-headline with somebody. And so I ended up getting 30. And I remember right before this, like several weeks before the show, I just was grinding. Like I was going to like sometimes going to 2 open mics a night, and sometimes I've been trying to do 3. And I remember the night before I featured, and I would go anywhere and everywhere. I remember one time before I featured, I had drove from 45 minutes after I featured for like 15 minutes and drove to like open mic that I only did 3 minutes at. Because I just wanted to have like the material set.
Damn.
And I watched that video and I was super nervous. And then instead of me like being chill and just like let people hear the jokes, I just kept trying to go through them and stuff like that. But that was like the first of my headline, super nervous. I was trying to do all new material instead of doing material that I knew worked. So that was like an interesting thing. Somebody told me, they was like, "Just do the material you know works." I was like, "Nah, but people see me before. I want to do new material." And then it really just hit me like, just do the stuff that you know be good, and then over time it will just build up stronger. So after that, I started getting more opportunities because people saw that I headlined and I was getting more opportunities. And then the more I headlined or featured, the better I had got. And so just getting a lot more opportunities, featuring, headlining, and the more time you get, because you're used to 5, 7, then 10, then 15, and you jump to 30 and 45. That's when you get seriously comfortable.
Yeah, it's like
then,
repping with weights. Like
exactly.
Michael's on 10 pounders right now, but he's almost to 15 pounders for curls. Like he's getting there.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
He's getting to be a hard-bodied man. Not quite yet.
Yeah. So I remember like, so now like doing like 20, 30, 40 minutes sometimes. I mean, one time I did 40 minutes and it felt like 20. And I was like, "Oh snap, I'm getting there. Like I'm getting used to that repetition," which is always dope and is always cool. And it just takes like more than anything, it just takes that repetition and constantly working on craft and coming up with new jokes. And the more repetition you get at headliner or get that first opportunity, just do well with it or do your best, I feel like makes you a headliner. And then you just gotta get that same amount of time. And which I was talking to Michael about, was saying like, I hit up people sometimes like, "Yo, I see you got a show, can I headline it?" And then they'll sometimes be like, "Oh, well, we don't know, you got a clip." And I'm like, "Oh, I'll send a clip." And then sometimes people will be like, "All right, well, how about this? I'll put you on the show. I'll give you 10 to 15 minutes, and then we'll see if you can headline after that." And usually when I get that opportunity, I usually do pretty to very well. And then Like, okay, we'll have you back in a month to headline. That shit was hella funny.
Nice.
I would have had you on there for longer. Like, yeah.
Yeah, so you always gotta, when you ask people, you start high and then
Yeah.
go back. You don't ask like, oh, can I feature?
Yeah.
But
Oh.
yeah, like someone at my level, I've done 2 30-minute sets before, so it's kind of hard to like break into headlining.
How many years you been doing comedy though? I always ask that.
I would say altogether like 3.5,
Okay.
4, something like that. There's been like wide gaps and stuff.
Yeah.
But I did in December, I did 30 minutes, and then the very next night I did 15 minutes of completely different material. So I have everything together. It's just a matter of doing it. So.
Get together. Like always, people ask me because like they were actually like, yo man, you be asking the headline? I'm like, yeah, sometimes I do. I'll definitely ask somebody to headline. They was like, well man, I feel like I shouldn't be reaching out and stuff because I've been doing comedy. It'll be 8 years in August, right? And initially, the first time I ever did comedy was 2010. But for 2 years, I wasn't in open mics. I was just doing like these random shows put on by that same drama professor. So I just felt like those like my open mics. So I said I'd like really start doing serious comedy in 2012. And even then, I took breaks at certain periods of time. But like, I feel like lately I've been I was always getting better. And while I was in school, like a lot of people didn't know I was still doing comedy while I was in school. But at this point, because I'm like 7, 8 years in, I should be able to headline. And because I've been given the opportunity to headline several different spots, I asked that. You're 3 years in, 3.5 years in. So they usually, I listen to like other like national headliners, and they say usually about the 5-year mark or 7-year mark is when you start to really get the feature and headline and stuff like that. But I feel like a lot of times it's all about, opportunities. So if somebody give you an opportunity to headline, you might as well take it, record it, video record it at that too will be great because I video recorded myself headlining because I saw how nervous I was and saw, I see myself, I can see my facial expression. And it's a great opportunity. So let's go from that.
Yeah. And I feel I've been like writing comedy a lot longer than I've performed it because I'm from a small town where I would get like 1 or 2 shows a year. So
that's real small.
it was a town of 50,000 and we would put on like a show a year basically. So, and there was like no open mic scene or anything like that. And Michael kind of knows.
I was from a town of 7,000 people, and
they'd
be like,
he wins.
When you would try to do something, they'd be like, hey, quit fucking around, go to bed.
You're like, fuck your cousin, Michael.
They'd be like, Delilah's over here trying to get pregnant, and you're not putting it in her, and like they don't get you don't click with your cousin that much. You'll still I had sex with her, it's fine, but like, look.
So I think everyone on this chat is some form of vegan. So when did you become a vegan, Corde?
January 31st, 2018, man.
Okay. And what made you decide to do that?
Oh man,
a girl, wasn't it?
always been a big dude, mainly because of football, and then I had put on a bunch of weight because I got really sick, and then doctor gave me all this medicine where made me put on like 70 pounds in a year, right? So for last 10 years of my life, I was like been pretty big, right? But then I would always fluctuate because of football. Like you would lose a bunch of weight because of football, and then you gain it back in all season, losing and stuff. And then once you stop playing football, you kind of stay at a certain spot, right? Mm-hmm. And while I was always in school studying, I would always lose weight because I'm studying, I'm not eating as much and stuff like that, and then you're broke. So, but I remember one time I was going home, and we went on this cruise, and you go back home, all the food in the fridge, you can eat a lot. Then go on a cruise, all you can eat, all times throughout the day and night. You get a lot. Then I remember I felt myself getting bigger, and I remember, well, don't worry. When you go back to school, you lose weight because you're broke. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna be cool then. All right, good, right? And then I remember this one day. Well, my big bro, this dude I consider my big bro, told me he lost 30 pounds by going vegan. He kept pushing me to do it. I was like, nah, man, I'm gonna get back to this diet. I know how to do. I know what to do. And one day, I remember I got some pizza, 2 slices of pizza, and a root beer. I remember I was like talking to a few people, and then I came back and the pizza was like lukewarm, and it was so greasy. And I'm eating it, and I'm feeling disgusting. And then I washed it down with a root beer, and then I was like, oh, why am I doing this to myself? And later that night, I'm walking, and I gotta park my car, and I gotta walk to my apartment. And I remember like my back was hurting me, my feet was hurting me, and then I was doing like the big person wobble, when you have to sway back and forth to side in order to walk straight. And I was like, oh, this feels so much better if I just shift my weight from this side. I was like, oh snap! And then in that moment, I had a vision. If I didn't change myself up now, I'll be probably on my 600-pound life in a few years. Like that's how big I'll get. Or this will be the moment I finally lose weight and get drastically smaller. And so that made me. The next day I woke up, hey man, I think I'm gonna go vegan. I need to make a serious life change. And then the first day was super hard because I just went vegan cold turkey, like stop eating meat, and also I didn't have like no vegan stuff. So I'm just like, I'm like just drained throughout the day. And then the next day I went vegan. I went shopping for all my vegan groceries and stuff, and then was feeling like much better instantly. So yeah.
Are there any? Have you lost a lot of weight since starting, or?
So that's the problem again. When I initially started, first like 2 weeks, I lost 12 pounds. Then over the course of like several months, I got up to I think I lost like 35, 40 pounds, right? This is all while I'm in school, so I can like have the steady regimen of what I do, the steady like thing I do every day. And then not only that, it's just me and I had one roommate. So like the refrigerator is ours, and at the time he wasn't really cooking, so he had like a meal plan. And then I come home, and being at home is always the hardest thing for me. Mom buys a ton of like temptations every day. Like everything's a temptation.
Yeah.
And you're sharing a refrigerator with several other people, so you can't do that same thing. And I used to make a lot of smoothies. I make a lot of this other stuff. And then also my sister's vegan too, or was vegan, and we would buy a lot of the same groceries, and she would always eat the stuff that I bought. So it was like always a constant. It's not even everyday. It's an everyday struggle, not only with yourself, but with the house and temptation all around. So my weight fluctuated over time, and then like I was doing Uber, so I would just like try to eat vegan-ish stuff and like load up on fast food, and then so my weight got back up. But right now it's like getting back down again. So I'm like I need to get back down. I remember when I was at my most fittest, like over 8 months, I dropped take a weight. So I was like, I'm gonna try to do that again, like just dedicate myself again for another 8 months to know how I did beforehand and try to see what my end results are.
What do you think about? I imagine you've run into this. We talk about it, Luke and I. People that make like a lot of first timers, particularly for their jokes, they will make vegan jokes like, "Oh, I went out with a girl. She was a vegan." How soon do you think it'll take for vegan to be like, not as bad as the N word, but like to where only vegans can use it?
Probably never.
Damn.
Vegans are always going to be an easy target, I'm sure.
I mean, I think vegan, because vegan and vegetarian. Well, I think vegans get it now more because it's vegetarians probably used to get it. You know what it probably would be if keto takes off seriously, then we'll probably get put to the side. Because vegans are becoming more regular. But then we got those extreme vegans out there who be just on some BS. Like I remember, some people who are vegan, but then also complain about what's done to animals and like how they're all like, and I'm like, I couldn't care about animals at all. I did this to help myself. I don't care about the animals that much to, be saying like, we shouldn't drink milk. We shouldn't eat meat. And I'm like, no, I remember how good all that used to taste. I'm not a typical vegan. Like I remember like we're barbecuing tomorrow, and I'll probably be help preparing all the meat that's probably gonna go on the grill. But I'll definitely ask, like, do we have some vegan stuff that I can eat so I won't be hungry? So so because my cousin gives me a hard time about being vegan, he'll come up next to me with a plate full of meat and non-vegan stuff, and he's like, "What you got right there?" And I'm like, "My vegan burgers. He's like, oh, okay, all right. And then he'll like eat ribs in front of me, and I'm just like, dude, you are not. This isn't affecting me. Like this is,
Yeah. Yeah, that's the
you
thing.
know,
Yeah, I always try to just dismiss it. Like, I don't tell anybody, oh, I need a vegan option. I'll just
yeah,
be like,
yeah,
oh, I can't really get anything here. I'm like, I'm not looking at anything. I try to just completely play it cool. And then
yeah,
like, and then if somebody tries to say anything, then I'm just like, yeah, whatever. There's something more effective to burn
yeah,
somebody within their diet.
yeah. And the funny thing about it is, recently, like my cousin barbecued at his house. We had this like little small like get together, or whatever, and he had the Impossible Burgers at his house because he works at Costco, and he was talking about, "Hey, cuz, I had them Impossible Burgers, and those things taste better than meat." You know,
Yeah,
like,
they're pretty fucking good, I think.
Yeah.
and he was like, "Yo, man, those things are smacking." And then my other cousin, she said she had them too. She's like, "Hey, those things be hitting." I went to Carl's Jr. and got one. They taste better than the meat there, and I think if more stuff comes out like that that tastes better than meat, we'll probably get a lot less slack. Like, hey, bro, hey, you got any? Probably some of your homies who come over and know you probably got a stash full of vegan stuff. Like, hey, so you got some. What's up with those Impossible Burgers though? You gonna make me one? Like you ain't sharing? Like there'll probably be something like that. I think that's what's gonna happen, especially. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it all tastes pretty good. It's probably not good for you. It's textured pea and soy protein or something.
Yeah.
It's not any worse than anything, but like I like I don't know where I was going with that. You guys, I'm sorry. I think I'm having a stroke right now, so
It's all
I'll
right.
let you guys talk.
This was a question Michael wanted to know. Where do babies come from?
the
Like,
stork. The stork. That's what they call
okay, cool.
the stork, yeah. Which is crazy to think about. Like they actually told us that, and then we actually found out where they come from. I'm like, who came up with this lie about a stork? Like a bird can hold a baby, and I'm like, yo, how many?
Yeah, then you're like, if a bird picks up a baby, it's gonna eat the baby. But now you're
Yeah.
like, I remember, God, even as a little kid, you're like, there's something not right about this right now. Like,
I never got it because I'm like, yo, how does a bird fly from wherever they're flying from, holding a baby in its mouth for this long and not drop them?
yeah, and like, do you have to sign a paper if you want the baby? Like, is there like you're like, oh, I'm ready for one. Call the stork, and they
Yeah,
send it.
exactly.
I don't know.
That's
I think the
all.
stork accidentally dropped a lot of babies. That's why.
Yeah, that's why I was like, yo, this, I'm not buying this at all. Like, this is really weird. So yeah.
Is it true? And Luke wanted to know if it was true if you get a woman pregnant by doing anal, if the baby comes out with Down syndrome.
Yeah.
No, but the funny thing about it is, my homie thought if he messes with a girl who's on birth control, it definitely does help the babies at a higher risk of Down syndrome. And I was like, bruh, that's not true at all. And I don't know where the hell you heard that from. He was like, bro, when a chick is on birth control, she get fatter and like it messes up the whole vagina. I'm like, no, fool. When the chick's on birth control, her body thinks she's pregnant. That's why she gains weight and her hormones change. Ain't got shit to do with her vagina. They think it's already pregnant, so it stops producing eggs or stop like bringing eggs, to the whole birth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you take male birth control?
No, never
No.
did it. Because all right, so also while I was in Santa Barbara, again, another plug about my school, I got really into sex education, and like all the rumors about male birth control, they're like very rumors because they're so far away from actual like being a pill for male birth control, because it's so hard to stop producing sperm, right? Because we produce, I think it's 250 million sperm per day, right?
Damn.
Right?
Maybe you guys know I'm getting it done with like 10 sperm.
But then women only produce one egg a month, right? So it's easier for you to have great birth control that stops that one egg a month from being reproduced, right? But the test with male birth control is, how do you stop 250 million sperm being made every single day, right? Without long-term effects of the male becoming sterile eventually. So that's why it's so damn hard about that. Actually, I wrote a joke kind of similar about when you jerk off while men are so tired about after that because it's like, yo, we shooting 250 million sperm all at you at once. When's the last time you ever did something a million times in a row? Like that's why we're like it's of course we're exhausted. 250 million coming at you all in one small fluid. Like try to shoot a basketball 250 million times. You'll be exhausted by 100. Like so yeah.
So, Luke, how many sperms do you think you have?
It's definitely triple digits.
Shit, you guys are inefficient. I'm telling you guys. I get it.
Yeah.
I've got one sperm that's just hand cranking my balls
He-
for each sperm to come out of my dick one at a time, and they're the size of tadpoles.
He
Yeah,
knows all of their names.
Well, when they have faces, you might as well name them. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I think those are zygotes, Michael.
Stupid. Yeah,
I think you produce eggs and you're impregnating yourself, and then that's what you're spitting out.
Well, I'm thinking that I'm getting the crew together to do a sitcom. If you guys got any like idea, like there'll be guest spots on it for both of you if you want, but it's going to be about the sperm and like
I want to be a
family
wacky
time.
neighbor.
All right, that's fine.
Okay.
And
I don't have to be
unfortunately,
in every episode, but
all right, just don't Urkel me, okay? Because he was only supposed to be the wacky neighbor. It was
I
supposed to
mean,
be
you
about
can't. No promises. No promises.
Erica was pretty funny, man. I love Family Matters. That was a dope show.
That wasn't. I liked that when we could get It was like on the teen block or whatever. Fuck, I forgot the network, but it was like on the Saturday
Again,
night.
or what?
Look, I liked Urkel too, is all I'm saying. We used to always go around being like, anybody got any cheese?
Did I do that?
I was about to say, did I do that? Like, no one ever do the if I got any cheese one. Like did I do that one? Definitely. You know, I remember I tried to do that one a few times after I broke something. Yeah, that didn't work. That didn't work.
I tried writing my own for when I make mistakes like that. I've tried, check please, and just dumb stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, what's your favorite children's book, either as a kid or today?
I talk about this in a joke, man.
Really?
Green Eggs and Ham, man. It was the first book I ever learned how to read, man. It was. I remember the concept of reading. Because also the concept of reading was this huge thing to me. Like, I struggled with reading mainly because I thought it was this big thing. Like, I didn't know how to read, but actually I knew how to read. But when you said the word read, I would freak out mentally. Because I remember this teacher showed me, was like, can you read? No, I don't know how to read. Okay. And then, so it was like, okay, what's that? I was like, that's fish. That's blue. And just like pointing the pictures. That's fish. That's blue. That's red. That's green. I was like, now read this. And it was like, I was like, oh, I can't read. And it was like, you just did. I was like, what? I was like, what did, he's like, you just read that. I was like, no, I didn't. He was like, reading is only words. He's, I think the word read is freaking you out so much that you panic and you lose all function. But you really just, I was like, he's like, reading is just all those words put together in a line, which makes a sentence, and then it becomes a bunch of sentences makes a paragraph. So, but if you just treat all the words individually and read them, that's reading. And my reading level went from like a shaky kindergarten, first grade reading level to like fourth grade within like a year. It was like fourth, sixth grade. So yeah.
That's about where Michael is right now.
But I will say this: Green Eggs and Ham also taught me a valuable lesson on consent. It's like, hey, he doesn't want any. All right, leave him alone.
Yeah.
But he tried it at the end and he liked it. So you just got to keep
Tell that to every
trying.
rapist. That's something a rapist would say, Luke. All right.
The Rapist Manifesto, Green Eggs and Ham.
Yeah.
Sorry to ruin it for you.
There was also this bunny book where it was like this superhero bunny, right? And he did like he could do all these amazing things. He can only do it like while he was at his job, like working, because he like, so there was this bunny book, or it was about this like superhero bunny, and it was like I believe he was like filming like a show, right? And then in each scene he would look invincible in one show, but then in real life he'd be like, oh, he'll shoot through these bricks. But then the next thing would be like, oh, by shooting through these bricks, he broke several fingers and like a leg or something like that. And his next one was like, he can jump over this, but then he really jumped and then got hung up on like, I forget what it was. It was like a TV. It was a book showing like about a superhero. It was like a TV, but I don't know. It was weird. It was interesting though, because it said like one side it would be like this dude's invincible, but then it would show the next scene it would show like the reality of what's actually happening from him. I think it was like he was a stunt double. So like in the costume he was invincible, but then at the end of the scene he was reminded that, oh no, I'm not an actual superhero. I'm just this ordinary rabbit. So yeah, dope book though.
Yeah, I was super into like Berenstain Bears.
Oh yeah, you say Berenstain? How you say it?
Berenstain Bear.
I say
Berenstein.
Berenstein. Yeah.
It's been a while since Berenstein. I think I always, as a kid, I said Berenstain Bears. I'm pretty sure.
I always said Bernstein because I remember that was like an actual debate once. I was like Bernstein Bears or Berenstein Bears, and I remember I used to hate because I think they called themselves Bernstein as well. Bernstein. There was other episodes that called themselves Bearstein Bears, so it was all like.
Are they Jewish or?
Well, maybe it depends on who they were around. Like if they wanted to sound fancier, they'd be like, "Oh, we're the Berenstein Bears," and if they were like with everybody, like the regular townsfolk, yeah, whatever, we're the Bernstein Bears.
Yeah, I think it was whoever was doing the voiceover that day.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think it's about time to wrap up this episode. So why don't you plug some stuff? Tell us where we can find you at.
You can find me on Facebook at Corde Snell. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Corde Made Yo Day. And for Twitter, it's Corde Made our Day.
We'll tag you in the post.
Yeah. So yeah, but you can find me on those, and then I'm working on a YouTube channel that I need to fast, especially during this quarantine time. And then also check out my podcast, Eagle and a Pirate, on Spotify, Anchor, iTunes, and all that.
And you can find him online on any romantic meetup site as Cordelicious Definition.
Yeah, exactly. Cordelicious Definition. Who you think Fergie got Fergalicious from? It was from me, yo. Who you think writing it? Cordelicious, Fergalicious. You don't think she stole that? You don't think?
Oh, I knew all along, man. I want credit going where credit's due.
You know, I'm mad because I was like, hey, you know, Cordelicious be doing. She's like, Cordelicious. I remember I was there. Will I Am was whispering, Fergie. Cordelicious, you know. Cordelicious. My other homies call me Cordatello, which is like hilarious. It's like a bunch of the funny stuff. So yeah, man.
All right. Well, then we're gonna let you go. Take your 250 million sperm and get out of here, man.
Yeah. Let us know when you're in Reno next. Well, we at least have open mics every Thursday. So if you're in town, we can get you on for like a 10-minute, 15-minute, almost like the headliner of the open mic.
Yeah.
And we do a couple other monthly shows. So.
Do y'all do any Zoom? Are you guys doing any Zoom mics now?
As of right now, no. But but Reno Improv is going to start. So we can talk a little bit after we cut off the recording.
All right. Well, yeah. Thank you.
All right. Let's end this.
Watching. Yeah.
All right.